Welcome, everyone, to episode 92 of the RDH Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Chad. Joined alongside me for another episode is Tanner, who happens to be my brother. How's it hanging over there, dude?
That's me. Been your brother since birth, and didn't hasn't really
Shout out.
changed. But sometimes I wish it did. Just kidding. I like you. I think you're a pretty cool guy on
Yeah,
some days.
yeah,
Right?
every now and then.
But getting into the football, we had a very exciting week, and I'm very happy to be back on the RDH Sports Podcast. We'll skip the weather for today, and I think let's just get straight into it, Chad.
We got week one recap, then we got a little bit of game predictions, then we got a little bit of college football. We'll see how much time we have for college football at the end, depending upon this week one recap, because my goodness, a lot went on.
Oh yeah.
Like, a lot went on. And we're gonna start it off with pretty much the one that we have to talk about first, right? The Buffalo Bills. Just out of nowhere. Just Josh Allen coming over here over the top on a night game, throwing up a 50 piece in fantasy. Like, that's mean. You know what I mean? Lamar's sitting over there with like a modest like 38, and Josh is like, not today, Lamar. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna clean you out. And look, man, I, it's happened a lot to the Ravens. Like a lot to the Ravens when you go back and you actually look at the playoff games they lost, at the end of the game seasons they lost, and
Just a lot of big
comebacks
games.
that they've lost. Yeah,
Not even just
a
playoff
lot.
games, just games in general.
Yeah, no one can beat Kansas City. We'll talk about them later. No one can beat Kansas City, but Bills right now. I don't know, man. This team looks pretty good. Now, given I it was a Derrick Henry fumble that I don't understand how that even happened, how that massive of a human being even does it, but it's just kudos to the defense on the Bills side. I thought the Bills were going to get that defense was going to get destroyed, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
But they just stayed in the game. And I mean, you know Josh Allen better than anybody because you've had him in the or one of our fantasy leagues since the inception of the league. But
5 years,
I
something
mean,
like
what
that.
do you think about this Bills team, and how high are you on the them in the AFC?
It looks like they've kind of picked up right where they left off last season, and that's obviously an amazing thing because Josh Allen was the league's MVP and he was easily the best quarterback last season. If your name probably wasn't Lamar Jackson, and I think he went out there and he showed it that he's still the best player in the NFL right now. He's easily the best quarterback, and a very improbable win gives the Bills their first dub. So I think maybe it's a little bit of complacency on the Ravens. Maybe it's a little bit of towards in late game situations with Harbaugh. Like, why do you punt it there? Why do you not go for fourth down? It was like a very
You gotta go.
short 4th and 3 or something like that, if I remember correctly. It's been a few days, but why do you not go for it? Stuff like that. Like if it's Dan Campbell, he probably goes for it, and maybe they win the game, right? But it's just you kick the ball. Your defense was mostly playing well right up in this game for a lot of this game, and maybe he didn't just expect it to just fall off the face of the earth towards the end of that game. But Josh put on a performance that only a select few guys, and I think in the NFL can do. And he went out there and he won his team the game, and that's just what you expect from your MVP caliber, $55 million a year quarterback. So absolutely amazing stuff from Josh. He looks like he's already about to win his second MVP in back-to-back seasons with that performance. I mean, it was unworldly. I got Josh Allen in both leagues that I'm in, and he won me both my fantasy matchups pretty much single-handedly, and scored over a third of my points by himself. So it was a tough week in fantasy for a lot of people, but especially people who had AJ Brown, man. And guess what? We came over that hill, but amazing stuff from Josh Allen and the Bills. Not even on defense too. Yes, like you had a lot of not great performances from the Bills, but I think Ed Oliver, I thought he showed out really well on the defensive side of the ball with the Bills. Obviously, with the
What a
punch out
game.
with Derrick Henry. He's just getting better and better and better every single year. And
Hey, I was high out of Ed Oliver coming out of Houston. I know you remember that. I was really high on him. I thought he warranted a lot higher than when he went, and you're seeing exactly why. Like, if this guy wasn't on Buffalo's defense, they don't win that game.
yeah,
It is literally just that simple.
and it's
You know
crazy
what I
too
mean?
because they also have Joey Bosa on that defense too, which we all forgot about until opening that. They're like, oh wait, there's Joey Bosa. So I'm sure.
Did you see how Lamar though? Like he gave Lamar Chris Collinsworth, I think, called it out. He Bosa gave him the outside, and that one he wasn't catching Lamar. You know what I mean?
No. And kudos to Lamar. I thought he played fantastically as well. He did everything he
He
needed to do.
did.
I mean, Derrick Henry had almost 200 yards rushing. Lamar had, like you said, he almost had like 40 points in fantasy. Lamar was doing what he did. This is the best the Ravens offense probably may even look this entire season. I mean, 41 points or something. That's insane. That it's hard to lose when you put up 40.
Derrick Henry almost had 200 rushing yards.
I know. And
200.
and it's like Derrick Henry's like beside himself, and he's sitting there like in the post game press conferences. It's on me that I fumbled. This loss is on me, and it's like, dude, you didn't. You're fine. don't worry about it. You're fine. You did your job. It's the other guys, maybe some defensive pieces that didn't. Right? Yes, the Derrick Henry fumble. If it didn't happen, maybe the Ravens win that game. Right? But it wasn't short. There were some miracle catches, and when I mean miracle, there was a ball flew off of a guy's hand and into another guy's hand into the end zone on fourth down, a very critical moment in the game. It was just one of those games that you just got to chalk it up, I think, to great quarterback play. Exactly what we saw in the playoffs, a few years ago with the Mahomes 13 seconds, going down, winning the game. And I think that was the divisional round of the playoffs. It's just one of those moments where you just lost to a Hall of Fame quarterback, which Josh probably will get into pretty easily if he continues on this trajectory. And you just have to kind of be like, well, that kind of sucks. On to game 2,
What do you think about Keon Coleman specifically? Like that was a hell of a game for him. I mean, I understand that, when you look at the progression of Josh Allen, and I think when you look at the progression of really any good quarterback, in my opinion, yes, there are definitely quarterbacks who have stuck with one guy. For example, if you have Justin Jefferson on your team, you're probably going to throw him the ball like 90% of the time. But there are other weapons on, most other teams. So what do you think about just Coleman and also like the Bills? I mean, you can argue lack of offensive weapons. Like you can argue that on the wide receiver side. Running back, Cook, I mean, he looks nice. He's got an extension.
He looked great.
And then, the tight ends, like they've got great tight ends with Dawson Knox and then also Dalton Kincaid, who is a tight end who fell in the first round and looked also
great.
Pretty solid there as well.
Yeah, and I think with Keon Coleman, it's a guy, it's a second-year guy for Buffalo, and you really just want to hope that he takes that next step, right? It's a guy you drafted a year ago. He didn't have much production his first year. I just looked up his stats. It's around 600 yards, nothing crazy, but he's already almost a sixth of that in his first game, right? And he looked great. He was always in a position that Josh Allen can kind of get on the ball, and he made a lot of athletic catches, right? So I think you just want to see that progression. Same thing with Josh Allen with what he has done over the course of his career. He's just gotten better and better and better and better and better. And if
you put him top 3,
yeah,
Josh Allen, or top 2?
I think he's top 2. I mean, he's not. He might be top 1. Based on how
you
he's
can't
playing.
put anybody above Pat.
I mean, in the NFL right now, yeah, I can. I think I'd put Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson above Patrick Mahomes.
You said Patrick Mahomes. You mean Josh? Okay.
Oh, did I say Josh Allen or Patrick?
You said Patrick Mahomes above Patrick Mahomes. See, that's what you meant to say.
Josh Allen, Lamar, and Joe Burrow above him all right now. Right now is the key. Like if you're starting an NFL franchise, maybe you start with Josh. Like I mean, I don't know, man. Mahomes.
I still take that.
I get it. Mahomes is great, and he's been to what 4 Super Bowls, something like that.
Well, he's been to 3. It has
5?
been to 3 in a row.
Well, he won 3, right? He's been to 5, I think, because he lost Tampa Bay and he lost against Philly, and the other 3 he's won. So 5, 5. So yeah, I mean, if you're starting a franchise right now, yeah, maybe you pick Mahomes, but
for sure,
I think it's underselling the talent of Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow a little bit, because I think you put Joe Burrow on the Chiefs and you're going to get some results too. Same with Lamar, same with Josh Allen. Maybe not immediately with the Josh and Lamar, but they've grown into really, really, really fantastic quarterbacks. So it's one of those things where it's like, great situation. I get it. Great coach type of thing. But I like those guys a whole lot. And I hope to see Josh and Lamar and Joe continue to do what they do. And I hope to see them maybe win a Super Bowl.
That's one that we were gonna hit on later, but we might as well just go to it now. I mean, you watch the Browns. You're a big Browns guy, big Cleveland fan. OHIO over there.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about the Browns
should have beat the Bengals.
They should have.
Should have.
They should have.
That was a
missed extra point. I mean, bad
Yeah.
special teams just in general. Obviously, they're working with the new kicker, right? It's not Dustin Hopkins anymore. He's gone. But it's just one of those things where you should have been in a position to win the game. I thought Joe Flacco really didn't have that bad of a day. The turnovers and the interceptions from him were, in my opinion, pretty luck-based. Like, they just hit the receiver's hands and they bounced up and then into a defender's arms, and it's like, catch the football, right? Obviously armchair analyst over here, but it's frustrating when you lose by 1 to a division rival that, in my opinion, you looked really good against. Definitely defensively, you looked like you could easily win that game, and they should have won that game right at the very end. So I don't know, man. It's a little tough, but let's be honest, Cleveland's not going to the Super Bowl with this roster this year, so a loss isn't exactly the worst thing in the world to put on the sheet in week 1. Would have loved that win. Cleveland always plays very well against Cincinnati, and just particularly in their division, just in general. So I'm curious to see that next matchup. If it goes like anything like that game went, I think the Browns might get the dub, but they usually try and split with Cincinnati. They usually try and split with Pittsburgh. They probably usually get destroyed by Baltimore twice, but it's just, it's one of those things. But
I think
it's competitive.
I think on the Bengals side of it, I think that you nailed the Browns side of it, and I think on the Bengals side of it, I think there's a couple takeaways from that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you can say that Chase Brown is 100% a running back 1, because that was a massive question going into this week. I think you can 100% count that up. I think you can also count up that the Cincinnati defense is kind of still the same story as last year.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily going to be a top tier defense in the league, and if you're playing a very good offense, you're going to have to put up some points. And it's week 1, so it's going to be overreaction. And you nailed it with the armchair analyst stuff. But the Bengals look like they've got some holes already, just like another team that we'll talk about right now with the Kansas City Chiefs that we kind of talked about, or not go to them yet, but we're going to talk about them with the holes.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bengals with the holes, for me, it's like the defensive side. Are you going to be able to overcome that? Right? Is that going to be a team that's going to be able to overcome those holes? Because for me, you look at, as the season progresses, Jamar Chase is going to get going. T is going to get going. Like that is a good offensive team, much like the Cowboys. Now, the defensive side of the ball, that's what lies in question with Cincinnati. And yes, I agree with you that Joe Burrow's at that top tier of quarterback, but it's really hard to be at that top tier quarterback when I get it, it's Myles Garrett.
You don't win. But
Myles Garrett and pretty much the entire Cleveland defensive line was in the backfield the entire game that time. So for me, it you got to get better on the offensive line, and you can't let Joe get hit like that. And I mean, Myles is going to get his, but I mean, Myles had a day.
I jokingly, with my friend Alex, who's a Bengals fan, I jokingly said to him before the game, Myles Garrett's going to have 3 sacks. I didn't think that he would have, I thought that he would go off, but I didn't know that he would actually kind of almost get 3 sacks. I thought that was kind of funny, but it's one of those things with the Bengals defense. You re-sign Hendrickson for a year, and you re-sign, or you finally sign your rookie with Shamar Stewart, and you're kind of expecting some defensive line, hopefulness when it comes to the beginning of the season. You got these guys.
Just one player, though.
2. I mean, technically, yeah, an addition of 1, but you look at Hendrickson, and he was the NFL's leading, sack leader last season, and you put a guy who should have first-round talent on the other side. Obviously, it's week 1. Overreactions for sure. He'll get going. He's a young kid, and Texas A&M. I got him back down here, so we'll give the Aggie a couple more weeks to get going for sure. But
give him seasons.
A couple, but you want to see some progression, just kind of like we're saying. We just want to see that defense get better and better. Now, the other thing too, with your other point with the offensive line, is, I mean, we've been talking about this since the Bengals made the Super Bowl against the Rams, right? We've been talking about they need offensive line help. They couldn't do anything in the Super Bowl because obviously Aaron Donald, Hall of Fame defensive lineman, was just getting through every single snap. But you got to be able to protect Joe Burrow in some capacity, and it just really seems like it hasn't worked, right? And they've made obviously the big trade with Baltimore, right? Or free agency signing with Baltimore, but they're doing things to address it, but it's just not really working, right? It's just not really coming to fruition like they would want to. And it doesn't look like the Bengals are really playing that much better in their division. If anything, they're playing probably the same offensively and definitely worse defensively. I mean, they were in that Super Bowl, and I thought their defense was a whole lot better than it was now, but I don't know, man.
They had some guys though on that defensive
They
side,
did.
specifically at the corner position and
They did.
and back at the safety position. That was pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, I think
Did they have
might
Cheeto?
not be Jesse Bates exactly.
I think Cheeto
but
was on
it's
that team.
Cheeto. Yeah, Cheeto was on that team who had a really good game with the
did.
Ravens. But
He
no,
did.
that's
Also, by the way, too, I'm sorry, but you remember Nashawn Wright, the Cowboys cornerback?
yes,
He also had a pick six in the Denver game. I think it was the Denver game.
I did see that.
Or was it it was the Minnesota game on Monday night. That's what it was.
Well, that's okay.
Or maybe was it? No, it was the Denver game. I think I'm mistaking him. It was the Denver game.
Okay. Well, you said Vikings, so we're gonna go to Vikings. Okay. We have to talk about the Vikings. We have to. What the hell happened?
Take a step back from your mic real quick. And now come back into it. Oh. It's really messing up. You should just disconnect and reconnect. Or that. Plug it back in. All right, talk. You got to probably switch your input in Discord again. Yeah, sorry. It just it started ear raping me. It got really loud. It's still doing it. Just disconnect from the video or from the call and come back in. I don't know why it's doing this.
How about that?
That works flawlessly. I don't know what you did.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Leave a little silence and then we'll come back in.
What were we talking about first?
JJ McCarthy and the Vikings. We'll just start on that.
Okay, so you come back with technical difficulties and just start going into the Vikings.
Welcome back, everyone. Some technical difficulties, but hopefully you didn't hear Chad's mic just absolutely destroying the face of the earth single-handedly, because I did, and my ears kind of hurt. I'm sad I don't got the AirPods in. I got all the bass all in my ears all at that same time. But we're back. You don't need to worry about that. That's only a me issue, right? The Minnesota Vikings looked really good, I think, in that second half, and the Chicago Bears really didn't, right? You look at kind of the performance that JJ McCarthy had compared to the performance that Caleb Williams had, and it's almost kind of the opposite of one another, right? You saw Caleb get going really early on in that game, and you're finally starting to think, here we go. You're a Bears fan, here we go. This is the Caleb Williams that was advertised. He's slinging it, he's getting the ball out fast, but it's kind of starting to become repetitive in that game, and you're kind of starting to see Caleb just kind of dink and dunk it off over and over and over, and you really don't see a big time throw until Minnesota's defense forces them to start throwing it past the line of scrimmage or past the first down, past the chains is what I meant to say. And that's where Caleb kind of started struggling, and fortunately enough, that's when JJ McCarthy started getting more reps. He started getting confident, and he's talking to his guys. I was seeing, he was really active in that huddle and in pre-snap, which you love to see as a rookie. And I think Kevin O'Connell was just putting him in good situations. Obviously, they were giving him a lot of, fun, some good play calls. We know Kevin O'Connell can dial it up like the best of them in the NFL. So he's getting Justin Jefferson into good positions. Obviously that touchdown, and then the first and second touchdown. The second one to Aaron Jones was fantastic. And then the third one with JJ McCarthy using his legs, really kind of stretching out and just displaying his balance, at least as a I guess he's not a rookie quarterback, but he's kind of a rookie quarterback, his almost rookie quarterback self. So he's a rookie in the NHL's eyes, but he's not a rookie in the NFL's eyes. So
fair.
So we're gonna call him a sophomore for now, but kind of a really good progression, and I guess that's the theme of this episode, just getting better. You just kind of saw that through the course of the game. And JJ McCarthy, he looked flat. He had throws that were overthrown, and he had some bad reads and stuff like that in the first half. Obviously, the pick six is one of them, but to come back after that pick six and just have a second half to remember, 3 touchdowns is very impressive from a young quarterback that your entire organization has faith in. So I like this Vikings squad going forward, and it's really funny that they've already beaten the Bears and already look better than the Bears who have been working on this for the last year. You know?
And when you specifically have that high powered of an offense on both sides of the ball, because you cannot say that the Bears also don't have a high powered offense, but with the Vikings specifically, you saw Justin Jefferson visibly frustrated. You saw everyone on that team visibly frustrated. And the Vikings are only going to get better barring injuries, because again, it's week 1, and also Jordan Addison's not there. He's serving a suspension right now. So their wide receiver 2 is out. So Justin's going to get doubled every time. He gets doubled anyway, but you can't triple him when Jordan Addison's there. Like I saw on some coverages, it seemed like. So you love to see, that touchdown to Justin Jefferson, and you love the gritty, week 1. And, when you got Justin Jefferson on the team too, it feels good fantasy wise. But JJ McCarthy looked good, man, in that second half. And it's one of those things where you wonder, you hope that it's not going to be like which JJ McCarthy is going to show up, because again, it probably just took him a little bit to get going. And that's the technical first NFL game that he's played for the entire game, because the first time he started, he got injured, and that was in the preseason. And this is the first time he's seen regular season action. So JJ McCarthy looks pretty decent for the Vikings so far. We're going to see how this season progresses. And yeah, I completely agree with you. The play calling side of the Vikings, like he's got a bag, man. And he pulls out the right plays at the right time. And what was very interesting to me about JJ McCarthy is, I think what happened is in the first half, he checked out of so many plays.
I know he did.
You saw him go to line of scrimmage and check out of like 50 plays every play, every single time. Yeah. And I think that halftime, I think that it was one of those things where it was like, hey, calm down. I totally understand if you see something, like check out of it. But at the same time, like, I'm calling this play for a reason type thing. And, you see veteran quarterbacks, like specifically, I think of Aaron Rodgers, who checked out of every single play all the time, because he legitimately did see more than everybody on the field. It's going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks of all time in terms of the way he could sling that thing. But I'm not necessarily comparing JJ McCarthy to that, but what I'm saying is that I think you need a whole lot more game time to be able to start doing stuff like that. So for me, it looked like he just kind of trusted the system in the second half and just let what was going to come to him. And yes, every now and then he changed out of it, but you could tell that it kind of almost looked like it wasn't changing the play completely. It was running from the left to the right, or running from the right to the left, like changing from the strong side to the weak side, or throwing a blocker on the other side. Like it was impressive stuff at the second half. And the Bears, it was classic Bears fashion to just fumble it in the second half. And the thing about the Bears is, like, I don't get the zero adjustments coming out of halftime. Maybe because you were up, maybe because you didn't think the Vikings were going to come back, but just a complete coast and just horrible play calling. And I mean, some of those throws that were finally downfield that Caleb was throwing, I mean, were just not even close. And so again, week 1, yeah, we're going to see what's going to happen. But right now, a lot of people in Chicago, I mean, how I think you kind of already thought it with Chicago, wishing for a redraft, which most teams are.
It's unfortunate. Now, they do have, what is his name, Tyson Bagent, that they paid like $10 million to be Caleb's backup, and they looked seemingly the exact same in preseason. So if Caleb keeps doing what he's doing and just looking poor and just really just not looking very good in the throws that he's should be making. I mean, how many times during that game did he just miss like a 5-yard out, or he just missed like a little screen pass to the guy, like a wide receiver screen, right? And I mean, that's when that happened, and the Troy and Joe started talking. I mean, this offense has, in order to run it, you need elite ball placement, and that's when it started falling apart. And that's kind of, obviously, I mean, they're not wrong, obviously. So in Detroit, that's how it worked. That's how, and Jared Goff, he's gotten better at it throughout his career. So those type of plays, they work in Detroit because the ball's out quick. It gets to a speedster and Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jamison Williams, and it starts going, and break a tackle, and there's just creativity everywhere. And obviously the talent level is just so much higher. So obviously maybe these plays are more executable, and they definitely are if you're just that much more talented. But you just got to get the ball to the right place with the right timing. And I think that's kind of Caleb's biggest problem right now, and that's kind of been his biggest problem since he's been in the league. He just needs to get the ball out of his hands quickly and on target while being in time with the play, right? And if he's got let me not take anything away from Caleb though. He looked fantastic in a lot of those throws where he got outside the pocket, where he started scrambling, where he started making something up. I mean, that the dime, the sling, to I don't know if it was a first down, but the play I'm talking about where he was headed out of bounds and then the receiver caught it on the sideline, and that was like, that is it right there. We saw what we wanted to see out of Caleb Williams. Do more of that. So I'm not sure. He misses a big pass deep to DJ Moore. He misses a few short in that second half too. So it's progress, but it's just very little. And maybe you kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. 2 offenses in 2 years, kind of tough. It's definitely going to be
He's
tough.
also had it's like what 3 or 4 different coordinators.
Yeah, and I guess a midseason firing with Eberflus in one of them, right? So it's tough. Like, I get it, the situation. Not everyone has Kevin O'Connell as their offensive or as their head coach, but you do have Ben Johnson, who is one of the league's brightest young minds, is what we're kind of going for here. Now, funny enough, the Jets with their situation too, with Aaron Glenn. I thought it was funny, kind of comparing the 2 coordinators in their first games. No defense for the Jets, all offense. No defense, or no offense for the Bears, all defense. Kind of funny enough. The offensive and defensive coordinators kind of switched their roles in their first games as a head coach, which I thought was pretty funny.
Well, speaking of the Jets, I mean, is in the offense. I mean, Justin Fields, that looked
Fantastic.
like a hell of a contract signing. I mean, he looked so good.
He did.
And that little airplane maneuver he did out of the end zone, I was like, it was so cool. You know what I mean? Just like just run around after that rushing touchdown for him. But I don't know. The Jets is interesting, and man, if you have Breece Hall, you're cooking with some Crisco. You know what I mean? Like, this guy, first of all, he's on a contract year. He's a running back on a contract year. So if I would have realized that, I'd have taken him so early. Because, dude, he ran mad.
He did.
Like, real mad. And Justin Fields is not one to not check it down to his running back. He does it a lot. And so I think if you have Breece Hall, I mean, you need to go get that guy. But I mean, Garrett Wilson looked real good too. You saw Justin Fields actually utilize the number 1 receiver. So for me, it looks pretty positive in New York right now. And I did not anticipate that in terms of Justin Fields in that performance. And just on the other side of the ball, because we're talking about the Jets, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, just a vintage Aaron Rodgers 4 touchdown performance on the Steelers side. And I mean, you can argue that the Jets have better weapons than the Steelers, but Aaron looked so good and went out there and got them that win. So what did you see with that game? What'd you like with Aaron? What did you like with Justin Fields?
Starting with Justin, I thought that his deep ball accuracy was the best I've ever seen it in the NFL, just in the NFL, because you saw that when he was coming out of college at Ohio State. You saw his ability to stretch the field and make big plays with his arm, but you really haven't seen it as much in the NFL, especially when he was with the Bears, and definitely not when he was with the Steelers. So maybe he's just comfortable. Maybe he's finally in a position where he can kind of sit and feel relaxed a little bit. Because I feel like, he's a high draft pick. He comes into Chicago. He's supposed to be this next guy, kind of where Caleb's at right now. He's supposed to be the next guy that helps him kind of become better than they are. And then he goes to the Steelers.
Not to mention, dude, Fields has been famous for, like, since he was in high school. He had that quarterback show on Netflix following him around. Like, imagine the spotlight from such a young age too.
Exactly.
And these kids are getting they are getting recruited, but back then they're getting rated, when they're a freshman.
Yeah, and I think maybe some kids, and maybe I shouldn't say kids, he's an adult, but maybe some guys, he goes to Ohio State, he goes to the Bears, big time franchise, right? He's supposed to change the complexity of the Bears, right? So he's just got all this weight just off his shoulders now, because no offense, but he's in New York. He's on the Jets. They weren't expected to be very good this year, and they probably still aren't even expecting to be that good. I don't know how Jets feel after game 1, right? But he's finally just able to kind of take a step back and I think drive in his own lane a little bit and really just make himself a better quarterback. And you saw it happen with Jared Goff, and we saw it. There was so much pressure on Jared Goff to be the guy. They go to the Super Bowl, and then he never looks the same after that Super Bowl. And then he goes to Detroit, a much lower kind of much less of a big time NFL franchise than the Rams. So he kind of takes a step back, kind of reevaluates, probably goes back to the basics a little bit, and then he comes back better than ever in a new system that is catered to him, and he looks good doing it. So I think it's very, very similar story, obviously, with Jared Goff and Justin Fields, very different types of quarterbacks, but sometimes the guy in the spotlight shouldn't always be in the spotlight. So I think he looked great, and I think he just wasn't. He was playing with a lot of confidence, and he wasn't really kind of mulling over his decisions. I think when you would see him play previously, you're just like, what is he doing? And then the ball would come out late, and you're like, God. So he looked good, he looked quick, and he looked very confident. I really love how Justin played. I was just waiting for this to kind of happen with Justin. So we'll see how he progresses on to week 2, week 3, etc. But really good start against a very good defense that should not be underestimated with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got a lot better this offseason too. So
And what do you think of Aaron Rodgers specifically? Like bringing back, vintage Aaron. I mean, that flick of the wrist was looking crisp.
he looked good, and obviously 4 touchdowns. And if I remember correctly, they're all 4 passing touchdowns. And he just commanded that offense. I think you really started to see what Aaron Rodgers can do and can still do with talented offensive pieces in DK Metcalf, who played pretty well, and he got him going pretty early. And it's just amazing what happens when Aaron Rodgers has a number 1 receiver he's big, physical, and nasty, and that's DK Metcalf. And I like the defense. I think the defense gave him obviously a couple chances, in that muff punt and everything. So defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers definitely stepped up. I think they're kind of the unsung heroes towards the end of the game, but obviously Aaron Rodgers is the story. Aaron Rodgers did really well. And I think too, with like the running game with Jalen Warren, everyone's like, what's going to happen with the running back situation? Najee leaves, and it's kind of a new regime over there in Pittsburgh. But I think it's a bunch of veteran guys, and I think it's a bunch of guys that are very much sold in to kind of the culture thing, kind of the like, oh, let's go, get a Super Bowl. And it's one thing when you got Aaron Rodgers leading a bunch of young guys, right? Like in the Jets with Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and all these dudes. But it's another thing when you got Aaron Rodgers leading a bunch of vets, with DK Metcalf and Jalen Ramsey and all these guys that they went out and got in the offseason. I feel like it just puts a little bit of a different energy in that room, in that Pittsburgh Steelers offense and defense. And it just gives them a little pep to their step because, to be fair, at least you kind of see in the NFL, it's hard playing on defense. It's hard being an offensive piece of a team that isn't very good on one side of the ball, right? I mean, preferably 2 sides of the ball for the argument, but look at the Bears, man. I mean, would you get more excited to go play for your quarterback, Caleb Williams, or would you get more excited to go play for your quarterback, Aaron Rodgers? I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers pretty much every time, especially if you're a defensive player. It's just there's a different air, I think, in that facility now, and I only say that because, when Joe Flacco came to Cleveland, there was a different air, right? And they made the playoffs. So, jokes aside, I think there is a difference with the Steelers now and just the overall feel of the team, the confidence of the team, the expectations, and just understanding of where they are as a football team right now. So, I love it, man. I think they got better in every single facet, and I think that they're really confident in what they're doing now. So, when you play with confidence, you see what happens. I mean, that was a hell of a game. Both teams look so confident.
That division is just, with the Steelers specifically, that division is just so sick. But what else was interesting to me about another team, you could argue that's completely done a 180. Maybe not completely done a 180 because again it's week 1. But I mean the Raiders, man. I mean they're out there actually trusting their playmakers, getting the ball to their tight end, getting the ball to their rookie running back, and just trusting them and just essentially continuously breaking down New England. You know what I mean? I mean, it is New England, so it's one of those teams where you don't necessarily know where New England's going to be at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
If you told me that New England was a top 10 pick, I would not be surprised at all. Even if you told me they were a top 5 pick, maybe I'd be a little bit surprised. But New England could be one of those teams that's kind of at the bottom tier. But the Raiders have been a bottom tier team for a while. Not really bottom tier because I mean, when Max Crosby got there, I mean, there were some tough times with the Raiders, man.
A while.
Yeah, there's been some tough times, but the Raiders is like such a sick franchise, and you want to see the Raiders do good, and they're finally starting to do pretty decent. So we'll see. But for me, I liked watching the Raiders play, and then on the defensive side of the ball, it's like Max Crosby is like that guy is the entire defense.
Mhm.
And then you've got, a couple guys on the offense, and you got to have Gino that's just going to manage the game, not make crazy throws, and just trust where he's going to throw it with. And I mean, that tight end with Bowers,
He's amazing.
he's so good. Like
amazing.
he's already the best tight end in the league, and it's not even close. It's crazy.
It's
Like
impressive.
that's insane. And he's his second year in the league, and then you got John who just runs like a freight train. I mean, didn't necessarily get
Mhm.
the number of touches that you would want to see,
Well, I don't
but it's
know.
a rookie, and you got to let him go.
Thing is, I mean, I think he got 19 rush attempts, and I think he got a couple passes thrown to him. I mean, 20, 21 touches in your rookie debut. I think that's pretty good. You go look at Seattle, man. Go look at Seattle and kind of what that team was when Pete Carroll was there. And I thought Kenneth Walker was going to get going so much. He like that's kind of what I was feeling with the Raiders. Like, okay, this is, Kenneth Walker 2.0 with John T, right? We got Gino over here, Jacoby Myers and this other kid. Like, we're going to have some fun, So I just expect the Pete Carroll offense to run through the ground and run through a running game first. That's kind of how he's always done it. And I was definitely surprised that they didn't really rush him as much. But at the same time, I mean, John T was getting stopped. He was getting thrown around a little bit, and they were obviously prepared for him in every means. So Gino went out there, threw 300 yards, and won the game, and that's just kind of what he did in Seattle, right? So I like what they've become. Yes, I don't think Jonty had like 24, 25 touches, but to be fair, like who really does nowadays, right? So with all these
100%.
offenses.
I was more meaning usage wise, like on the yard side, is what I was kind of trying to allude to. It's like he only had like 30. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, like 32 or 38 yards.
Yeah,
Yeah, he mixed it up a little bit on the
and you want more.
passing side, but yeah, I
Thing
mean,
is,
19 touches for a rookie is very good. I'm with you
they
on
just
that.
need to get him some offensive linemen, man. I think that they just need to run the ball more effectively in the trenches, or at least set up the run to kind of get him more. Because I saw a stat, and I don't know if this is true. I just was kind of scrolling Instagram, and I saw a thing that was said, yes, John T only got 38 yards, but he also had like over 40 yards after contact in the same game, and it was like, what? I was like,
Does that make sense?
because it's like some of those were negative, right? So
Oh, sure.
he's going back, and obviously he gets touched, and then he goes to the line of scrimmage. That is a positive gain, but he starts negative. It's some stuff like that. So I think it just said basically the point is he's getting hit pretty early on in the the progression of the play. So I think we just need to do a better job blocking up front if you're the Raiders, and I think they'll kind of have a successful formula. They just look like, again, they look like the Seattle Seahawks who looked with Sam Darnold to implode. So I guess we'll move over to there, but crazy stuff. The Raiders kind of overnight flipped their team, in my opinion. They were not great, and now Gino has given them some life.
And another team that made, the biggest trade that we got into a couple episodes ago with Micah Parsons. I mean, the Packers,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Phenomenal.
the Lions have done pretty well against the Packers recently, and the Packers destroyed the Lions. Like that literally looked like a varsity team playing a JV team.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Lions never got going, and the Packers from the beginning got going. It honestly reminded me a lot of the playoff game with the Cowboys when they came in and just absolutely destroyed the Cowboys not too long ago. But the Packers, I mean, they looked really good. The offensive side, they looked really good. The defensive side, they looked really, really good, especially holding Detroit to that many points. You don't know what's going to happen in Detroit going forward. Again, it's week one.
Terrifying.
But I mean, those Packers, man, like that's the new team aside from obviously the top tier teams that you're like, okay, that's most likely going to be an NFC championship team if they continue to play at this caliber. And again, like they didn't really even unleash Micah.
Nope.
And Mike, you know what I mean?
And
Micah still got a sack
he
at
got
the
a
end of the game.
sack, and he got a pressure that forced a turnover for the Packers and against Penei Sewell, one of the best tackles in the entire league. And he made Penei Sewell look like you said, a high school player. He looked like he was on a different level than Micah, and Micah had gone into that game injected with something, for his back, and he hasn't been playing in preseason at all or in any off-season training. So the more they get Micah Parsons they were putting him on the field on like third downs occasionally, and it was still dominant when he was on the field. So The Packers defense got obviously a lot better, but it's kind of amazing how much they shut down the Lions. And they just forced Jared Goff to throw the ball. I don't know how many times, but it didn't really work. It just didn't work, right? And they just didn't look that creative like they did last year. They couldn't get the ball going to Gibbs. They couldn't get the ball going to Montgomery. And Amon-Ra St. Brown had a few catches, but other than that, it was lackluster. The defense from the Lions somehow looked worse than it did last year. And they have Aiden Hutchinson back, so they did a really good job. I think you got to applaud the Packers, and I really think that they're coming for that division title. I think, after that performance, man, I mean, Packers look like the lead seat in the NFC North, if you're talking to me, and we'll see. But they look really good. Jordan Love looked really, really solid, and we'll see what happens. I mean, he's just slinging that thing. I mean, it's just he's Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers' love baby. That's just what I see when I see Jordan Love. He's got trained by Aaron Rodgers, and he's got the balls of Brett Favre, and he's got. Trust me, that dude slings it. Jordan Love loves to sling that thing, so I love it, man. I think the Packers are going to be a really good team, and I'm really sad for what the Lions have in store because I don't like. What do you do? Like, genuinely, what do you do when you lose both your coordinators to other head coaching positions? Right? They look flat on both sides of the ball, and how do you fix that?
That's what they're going to have to find out, and we'll see what happens over the course of the season with the Lions. And it could be overreaction, but if you were to tell me that the Lions rattled off 7 straight in 3 weeks, I'd be like, okay, that doesn't surprise me at all. But the Packers, I mean, they look really, really good. And another team out of the depths of nowhere. I would say they're more famous for holding the combine on Madden. We got Danny Dimes with the Colts just out here just booling, son. What the hell is going on with Danny Dimes, and also specifically like New York? Obviously they give Danny Dimes a contract, and every Cowboy fan was like, Aaron Rodgers, yes, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But like, if you're Danny Dimes, how do you leave New York after signing that bad? We're getting booted from New York, and then going to the Colts, beating out Anthony Richardson. Apparently, it wasn't even close in terms of the quarterback battle, and then going out there and just destroying, looking like you were back in college. Danny Dimes, that was okay.
It was nice.
Do you know what I mean?
It was nice.
You know what I mean? Danny Dimes, okay.
I was really happy for him. We obviously know the type of football player Daniel Jones can be, right? We look at all these big athletic quarterbacks in the NFL, aka Josh Allen. This is the new archetype for an NFL quarterback. You want to be big, strong, and be able to rip that thing like nobody's business. And Daniel Jones doesn't have all of that, but he's big and he can run, and sometimes he can rip the ball pretty far. And when all those things kind of come together, I think you have the Indianapolis Colts version of Daniel Jones. I think he's finally got some guys that I think the team around him is just better, in my opinion, as well. The offensive line gives him a whole lot more time. Now, the only downgrade would maybe be, he had Saquon over the course of his career, but Jonathan Taylor's pretty good too. Again, better offensive line and probably better offensive pieces around him as well. With Michael Pittman, who started to get going, we know he can be a number one. So I thought Tyler Warren looked really good, and he was kind of bailing Danny Dimes out of a lot of situations too in that game, and he was great with run after the catch too. So I love to see it. I think that the Colts just have a decently good roster to pretty good roster, especially offensively. And maybe the quarterbacks they put in there were too aged. Maybe they just didn't understand the system, but Danny Dimes is getting them going. And I just love the dual threat aspect of his game and him just being able to kind of tuck it and run. But I mean, he's been in the NFL for however many years, 5 or 6 now at least. And
he signed that contract.
He's developing like we're seeing from these other guys. I mean, he's developing his passing. He's developing his arm. We see it a whole lot in the NFL. It's easy to kind of throw away a guy after a few seasons if you just don't see the talent, but you see the potential, a.k.a. Caleb Williams. It's easy to just kind of throw him away and be like, okay, we saw flashes, but we're not okay with committing to you long term. And that's how he ends up on another team, on a practice squad, and the Minnesota Vikings before that. But I think it's just a great situation for him. He just gets a redo, right, on a new team that has a lot of good pieces around it. I mean, they've kind of drafted to enforce this team, and then they put Anthony Richardson right in the middle of it, and they're like, "Here you go, have fun." And then they're like, "Wait, he sucks. Doesn't want to play football." Yeah, I don't know, but he looked good. Like he just looked way better than he did in New York, and I really just think it was him kind of aging as a quarterback, and I think he's just maturing, and I think he's progressing and getting better each and every offseason. And some guy that takes a few years. It took Josh a few years. It takes Lamar a few years before we can really say that they're amazing level talents, right? They can't just come into the NFL like Joe Burrow and just be amazing and look amazing and do all these things that are in Patrick Mahomes used to sell for a year, and then he goes to the AFC Championship game, and it's like, bro, how you doing that? We got Caleb. He's a first overall pick, and he's not doing anything. So it just takes guys some time, I think, and I think Daniel Jones is one of those guys. I mean, we saw him win a playoff game. Let's not forget. Was it Dable's? Was it because of Dable? I don't know, but I like this team. I like what Daniel Jones is doing. Now the question is, will he turn back into a pumpkin in week 2? We were kind of asking this with Sam Darnold last season, but I'll ask you directly. Will he turn into a pumpkin in week 2? Now I got to figure out who they're playing first, but
My thing is, I think that, you kind of saw who they played. I'm pretty sure it was the Tennessee Titans, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they played the
And,
Dolphins.
for me, I'm not necessarily going to put stock into the Colts, but I think that division could have the opportunity to be like an 8 division winning, because I don't think that division is necessarily that loaded in terms of teams there.
They played Denver this week.
So that's a no.
I think so. I don't know. Denver didn't look that good last week against the Titans. They could have lost that game.
Who did the Colts play?
The Colts played Miami, right? And they absolutely demolished him. But not everyone's going to be as poor as Miami, to be fair. But maybe this was kind of a Xavier Howard coming over from Miami to Indianapolis, giving the trade secrets. I heard a thing that was him saying, I don't know if it was him, but it was definitely someone saying, we're just going to take away Tua's first option, his first read, and then he's going to crumble. And that's exactly what they did. They just took away his first option, and Tua crumbled. He couldn't make reads after that, and he threw interceptions and just looked terrible. So maybe it was a game plan thing. Maybe it was the Colts defense being really good and Miami sucking, and the changing of the guard over there in Miami. But it's an overreaction in week 1, so we'll see how Danny Dimes continues. But I mean, they did play Miami, and I don't think Miami's that bad of a roster on paper.
On paper, definitely not. Last thing we'll hit on week 1, then we'll hit the NFL. We'll hit some game predictions, and then we'll save the schedule prediction for A&M, because we've gone a little bit long here. But we will talk about A&M Notre Dame, because that's the big game this week.
We got football.
But we can't not talk about the Cowboys. You know what I mean? We got to talk about the Cowboys. We saved them for the end for a reason. I'm going to say they didn't look as bad as I thought they were going to look. You know what I mean? Before we went into the season, I said they were going to win 6 games, and then I said on the high side they're going to win about 8 games. I am now going to change what I said from they are going to win 8 games to I'm going to keep that, but I'm going to go that low end, and I think high end could be 9 games. So I think Dallas could be a solid 9-8 this year. Pick between 17 and 21, just like every other freaking season on the planet. But Dallas, to me, defensively, there was 0 pass rush, like completely gone. There's nothing there. So that's kind of a big hole. The run stopping was improved. Now, given Dallas has been, I think, 32nd in run stopping for like 15 years now, it seems like. The offense, pretty solid.
Very solid.
Pretty solid, I will say. I will say Denver's running back coming over Javonte Williams, that's clear-cut running back number 1. I think that CD played outstanding aside from the literal massive drops that could have potentially solidified the game for the Dallas Cowboys. I also think that Jalen Carter getting kicked out of the game in the very beginning, you cannot ask for anything better, because 100% the game plan going into that was not running Javonte Williams up the middle. But whenever Jalen Carter went away, they ran Javonte Williams just right up the middle.
Mhm.
And they just kept slinging that thing whenever Dak needed to. Dak had some throws that were very questionable, should have been intercepted. He also had some throws that looked like MVP, or not MVP, but 14. What was it? 14-2. I think there was only 16 games at that point in the season.
It was
14.
it was 14-2 or 13-3. It was one of those two.
Unbelievable vintage. You could argue Dak at points in that game, and then you know you don't win the game because of literally key drops, and that's something you can't really rely. You can't really put on Dak. My thing is if it hits CD in the hands at all, CD typically brings that in,
Mhm.
and those catches that he dropped, like I hate to say it, but CD does have a drop or two a game. Typically they're in the first half though. Typically they're not in the second half, and it's week one. But you really wanted to steal that game in Philly against the Eagles. That would have been a massive steal week one. But Dallas fell short. And I mean, hey, they had a chance to win. They were in that game. They made it a really good first football game of the season. And again, for me, I don't think they're going to be as low as 6 wins, but they have a stretch at the end of the season, the Dallas Cowboys, with their schedule gets so hard. And they play the Packers in a couple weeks. That game's not going to be fun. That's going to be Micah revenge. They got the Giants this week, so I think that could potentially be a win for Dallas. We'll talk about that in the game prediction section. But Dallas looked good, or looked better than I thought they would. But I say all that with you still have to go through the Eagles, who you saw what they looked like. That was at home, but they didn't have their best player on defense, in my opinion. And the game plan completely changes when Jalen Carter's there, and their offense laid an absolute egg. The Eagles did, in terms of anyone that's not named Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. Everyone else pretty much laid an egg on that offense. So you're not going to see that happen really again when you play the Eagles. So that's why I'm a little bit worried about the next time Dallas plays the Eagles. But hey, that's why you got to win these games against the Giants. That's why you got to really hope to split against the Eagles, and you got to really hope to split against Washington and give yourself a chance. But Dallas, man, we'll see what happens the rest of this season. And I'm so stoked we're going to that Washington, because that's going to be a good one. And we've got some sick games coming up too in this next slate.
Yeah, and with that too, I think I agree, pretty much wholeheartedly with what you say. But I will say that I don't know if the Eagles were playing. Obviously, they weren't playing up to what they could. But at the same time, I don't know if their game plan was necessarily to stretch the field. I think that they really wanted to obviously establish the run, get Saquon going, and that was a clear, conscious effort in the first half. And maybe if that rain delay doesn't happen, maybe they go down and score off that turnover, and Saquon gets 200 yards rushing, kind of like how Derrick Henry almost did. So maybe it's a different story if that rain delay doesn't happen. But obviously, the Eagles are a run-first team. And I think out of the second half, I think you saw Dallas really starting to get after Saquon defensively, running, when they were running the football. I thought Kenny Clark, I didn't realize he was that big. I'm not going to lie. He's a big man. He's a very large human. And he probably, this, if you've been listening to this show for a while, this is what I love. Just big humans just sitting in the middle of the field. Boom. That's it. Kenny Clark. I love that guy. I thought James Houston played really well, just a young guy, and Marshawn Kneeland he was pretty all right defensively, and these are just, the Cowboys guys that aren't named Micah Parsons anymore on the defensive line, so I thought he played well. I think the Cowboys rookie, I can't pronounce his last name, Azariku or whatever it is, he played all right. He got some minutes, but you really started to see them kind of get a little bit of pressure in the second half and finally start doing something defensively on the line in the second half. Now, was that because Eagles were cold and they come out rusty, stuff like that? I don't know, right? I don't know. But I did like what I saw out of that second half, and it gave Dallas a chance to win. And they had a lot of situations where it's like, oh, we just punted the ball. All right, Philly's going to go down and score a touchdown. This thing's going to be out of reach. And it just never really kind of happened. It just they never went down. They never had that finishing blow. And I don't know what it is about the Cowboys and Eagles, but they always play each other close. They always play. When Dak and Jalen Hurts are there, it's always an absolute banger of a game. So I don't know. Dak loves to play well against the Eagles, and I thought he played phenomenally that night. If CD, like you said, if he pulls in a couple more of those catches, man, I think a lot of people are talking differently about the Cowboys today, and what we see today. But if they go down, obviously, on that last drive and they make a few more, catches, whatever, we'll see what would happen. But I like the Cowboys offense. I think that they looked really underrated. I'm gonna go with you. I'll be running the train with 8 or 9 wins, but I think the offense is the thing that's gonna keep this train going, man. And if the defense gets better, then I think that win total goes up. But I think the offense is gonna be just fine. George Pickens, in the few receptions he had, he looked great. Javonte Williams surprisingly looked really, really good. And I thought that he was getting down and dirty in those tackles. Kind of weird to say, but he was really mauling through the trenches. And we haven't really seen anybody do that since Zeke. So, now granted, it's only been like Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle since that time. But Dallas got themselves a physical back. And no, he's not the biggest physical back, but he brings the hurt. He runs angry. I like Javonte. I think that he should be the one going forward. Miles Sanders, he looked all right. But again, the fumble, kind of playing for the wrong team still, it seems. But, it's just one of those things. Can't fumble in the red zone. Dallas had a lot of opportunities, and they could have won that game easily. And I think you give Dak his flowers, man. I thought he played an excellent game. There was 1 or 2 throws where you're like, oh, that should have been a pick. But other than that, I thought that he played an outstanding game, and I thought he looked like one of the better quarterbacks during this weekend that we saw out of football. So we'll see how we go. I mean, they got the Giants. Let's get right into it with our picks. They got the Giants coming up, and I think that they win that game pretty handedly. I don't know about you, but I think Dak throws for multiple touchdowns. He finally gets on the board, and I think those pesky drops from CD go away. And I would love to see some more George Pickens getting involved, because we didn't go out and spend a draft pick to go have him be a decoy for CD to get 14 targets a game again. Let's spread the ball around. I love you, Dak, and that's a number one guy with CD. Throw him the ball, but get George Pickens involved too. I mean, I remember the days of Michael Gallup and CD and Amari Cooper, and those guys it was an equal share, not equal, right? But it was it was definitely a share, and those guys all got going. And I don't remember, but I feel like they almost all had 1,000 yards. So it's like, get those other guys going too. I liked what they did with Turpin. I want to see more of that. And I love him as the third receiver. Sorry, Jalen Tolbert, but I like Turpin. I think he's more explosive. I think he's got I think he's got something to him when you put him down there and in the slot and kind of close to and if he runs a burner, and if you put him on the outside, he's going to beat you every time. He's just an absolute speedster. So they have like a lot of different types of receivers now, and it's fun, and they can kind of mix and match them. And CD loves to play in the slot. That's where he started playing in the NFL. So I like this offense. I really do. So I think they're going to hand it to the Giants. What do you think?
I think Dallas wins against the Giants. I do think with the Giants, they're still kind of trying to figure out who their quarterback is. I was pretty shocked about the whole just Jackson Dart not even getting a sniff to start the season, but I understand it with the acquisition of Russ. I don't really understand the acquisition of Russ. I'm not going to lie to you if I'm New York, because I mean, don't get me wrong, Russ was very good in Seattle, but he's kind of fallen off since then. And in Pittsburgh, it wouldn't really have given me anything to sign him. But hey, it was in the off season, and it kind of looks like they ran out of chips there. But I do think Dallas wins. I think Dallas wins against the Giants, and I think that they get a lot of things right. I think that's the first Sunday slate. We have the Thursday slate game that's going to be the Commanders and the Packers. That's going to be a really, really good game. That one's going to be tough because the Packers look so good. It's going to be hard to pick against them.
Packers are
for
at
me.
home.
Who's at home?
Packers.
Packers are at home. Are you going Pack?
Go Pack, go.
All right, I'll go Commanders then. If you're going Pack, I'm going Commanders.
It's just hard to pick. It's just hard to pick against the Packers right now. Jordan Love looks fantastic. Obviously, Micah Parsons, we know what he can do and how he can affect a game. So it's hard to pick the Commanders, man. Especially when they didn't look that great. They started getting going towards the Giants, but like you want to see a little bit more. And a sophomore with Jaden Daniels, a little bit of an unexpected mystery element to the game. We don't know how he's going to play. Like I don't know. The Packers are the safe pick. They're at home. Maybe they get back to running the ball. Maybe Jordan Love throws for 300 yards. It's just Packers at home are hard to beat, especially with Micah now. It's going to be tough. That place is going to be roaring every single game.
For sure. Another game that's going to be a really good one. Super Bowl rematch, Eagles versus the Chiefs. Do you believe, that the Eagles are going to go in there and just stomp them out? Or do you think the Chiefs are going to go for a revenge tour following the week 1 loss? Chiefs lost 2 games all of last year. They could potentially start the season 0-2.
I think they go 0-2. I really do. I'm going to pick the Eagles. I think that they it's hard. It's hard when you have a very, 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 very good running game with Saquon Barkley, and they targeted AJ Brown one time in the last game. Like, let's not forget, they have an absolute stud on the outside. And just so you know, Devontae Smith is on the other side too. And who's getting the big passes? Jahan Dotson. Okay, like, all right, I gotta go Eagles, because it's just they don't look that much different than last year. They still have the tush push. It didn't get banned, and the Chiefs look like they fell off a cliff in the week 1 of the NFL. I don't know what Rashee Rice, his legal situation's going. Obviously, he's suspended, but we'll see. If he comes back and re-energizes this team. But Hollywood, but it's just are the Chiefs gonna trade for Tyreek Hill? Like, they need weapons. They don't have any weapons. They got Travis Kelce, and he might be retiring next year. I mean, he caught a touchdown. I was like, he can still move that fast. That's insane. So yeah, the Chiefs don't look that good, just in general. I mean, they lost kind of a really bad one to the Chargers, to be honest with you. I mean, the Chargers beat the shit out of them, and it didn't really look that close.
The next one we got the Falcons versus the Vikings.
Are you going Eagles?
It's going to be interesting. Michael Penix versus JJ McCarthy.
Are you going Eagles?
I'm gonna go upset here, and I'm gonna go Falcons. I'm gonna go Falcons against the Vikings here. I know it's absolutely crazy to say, and I'm trying to pick against teams I think you're gonna pick. That's kind of mainly the reason that I'm going Falcons here, because I thought you'd go Vikings. But yeah, I'm gonna go Michael Penix over JJ McCarthy. We'll see what happens. I think Michael Penix has a lot of weapons, and I understand that the Vikings have a lot of weapons too. But Atlanta, I mean, hey, they didn't look too bad against the Bucs, but we'll see.
I thought they looked good. I thought I like Michael Penix. I'm going to be honest. I like him more than I like Caleb Williams. I like him more. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it for right now. We'll see how he turns up. But I mean, the guy won the game. He gave him a chance to win the game. I'll say that. I mean, that was a close game. That was a very, very close game. And you have Drake London going, I think he had like 15 targets. He's getting the ball a whole lot. Kyle Pitts is starting to move a little bit. Obviously, Bijan's going to be fine. And Michael Penix, I thought that he had a lot. I mean, he went out there and he like put his body on the line. He got a touchdown and he got a first down in the red zone that were like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome. So I like Penix. I think he's just developing, and I thought that he played a pretty good game against the Bucs. Now it's tough when you got Baker on the other side just slinging that thing like nobody's business, and they just seemingly find another guy to bolster their receiver core with Emeka Buka, who was fantastic. And I'm gonna go. You said Falcons. I mean, I'll go Vikings, but I do think the Falcons easily have a chance to win this game. But they got to get Bijan going, and they got to get him going early. I don't want any of this Tyler Algier shit. Keep him out. Let's keep him to 5 rushes. Maybe, right? Like, let's keep Bijan in the game. How many times have you seen the Falcons last year and this year just fail on 3rd down, and then they just bring Bijan in on 4th and he gets it? And it's like, all right, cool. Why didn't we just have him in the entire game? Anyways, I like the Falcons. I think they have a lot of good pieces. AJ Terrell on defense, Jesse Bates, these guys getting going a little bit, so they just got to get better defensively. And I don't know. JJ McCarthy, Aaron Jones, these guys, they look pretty good. So, I mean, we'll keep it different, but I could totally see the Falcons winning. And, but I'll go Vikings for the sheer absolute what the heck factor,
Then last one we got Monday night. We got Bucks versus Texans. So
it's actually 2 Monday night games. I don't know if you knew that.
Do what?
There's actually 2 Monday night games.
Oh, that's right. This is the one where they're doing like the 5 o'clock start and then like that 8 o'clock start. What's the other game?
It's Raiders and someone else. Who are the Raiders playing? It's like on the side. I'm just waiting for it to scroll by so I can look at it.
I can also look it up real quick. But with the first game, who do you got with the Bucks and the Texans?
Who is LC? Wait, I think I messed up at the bottom. I don't know why it says LC down there. That should say, I think they're playing the Chargers. Is that right? You can look up that second game. I think I made a mistake down at the bottom, but Houston and Tampa.
Yep. Chargers and Raiders.
Give me Tampa. I think Tampa, it's just hard to beat Baker, especially in prime time. And now that he's got a Mekabuka who's very confident, he's playing well. Mike Evans is probably going to get his. Um, and Bucky Irving looks like he's a bat out of hell. I think that they've just got so much like livelihood on that offense and just so much like they just look like they retooled and they look good. And Houston still looks like they're struggling. Like I don't what happened. I thought Nico Collins, he's back. Like what are we supposed to be good? If you're a Texans fan, the defense, like we got Derek Stingley, we got these guys, they're flying around, We got Will Anderson, like we got so many guys in the defense and they still suck. It's the team still sucks. They're still losing games. They can't score points. It's baffling because, he's going out there and he's like, yeah, we just got to play better as a team. And then he's just not playing that great individually. Right. So I don't know what happened. I think, a lot of it is just where's the team? Like, where's this team that we had few years ago? Like I thought CJ was just slinging this thing around and now it just feels like they can't move the ball. Maybe it's because Joe Mixon's not in, it's Nick Chubb, but I think Nick Chubb's pretty good too. Damian Pierce, that feels like it could get it done, but are the Rams really that good defensively? I don't know. Maybe not last week, but it was disappointing. I think Houston is very disappointing, especially when you have Indianapolis throwing out Danny Dimes and they look like the best thing since, sliced bread. Like they just look so good. And the Jags went out there. They look great against Bryce Young. Granted, it's the Panthers. But the Tennessee Titans, no, they didn't win. But they did have new life. They looked better. I'll give you that. They could have won that game against the Broncos. And suddenly Houston is sitting here like, what? I thought we were supposed to win the division. I don't know anymore, man. I genuinely don't know because Houston, I thought that they were going to iron out some of these issues in the offseason from CJ's, sophomore struggle, but it seems like it's just the same thing over and over. It just seems like he's one thing or another. The ball isn't getting into the end zone, one way or another. Is it CJ's fault? Is it the offense's fault? Probably a combination of both, but we got to move the football. That's just plain and simple. And they have a great defense, and I just don't know why they're not playing up to the level that we expect them to play. I mean, they played all right against the Rams, but they probably played well enough to win that game. Also, the defense did, but the offense just looked abysmal. So we'll see, man. But I'm going to go, like I said, Tampa Bay, because I just think that Baker he's a guy that's going to go out there and sling it no matter what. And if he slings it and has 3 picks, that is what it is. But if he slings it and he has 3 touchdowns, that could also happen too. So that's Baker football. And right now, Houston football doesn't look too good. So I got the Bucks, and I think that they look good. They look really, really good.
I'm gonna go Bucks as well. I can't pass up going the Bucks, and then Raiders and Chargers. I'm gonna go Chargers. I think that the Chargers looked real good against KC.
You verified that that's the game, right?
And give the Chargers the nod.
I said you verified that is the game, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll go Chargers. I think they look good. I think they get back to running the football. I think you see Omarion Hampton go. I think he's starting to get going. I think you see Najee a lot more. And how about Keenan Allen, by the way? I thought that he's had a fun resurgence already, back with old Berbert. And Berbert looks really good. I think it's, in my opinion, obviously Josh Allen looks amazing, but I thought Justin Herbert had probably the standout performance of the week that wasn't Josh Allen, because he just went out there and he was like, oh, they're Chargers, they're going to run the ball, hardball, and they're going to ground and pound and probably play action off. No, we're going to sling that thing down your throat, and Herbert just throwing out there, Keenan Allen, Lad McConkey, getting these guys involved and just really looking good. So, that's what we saw from Herbert in his first few seasons. He was throwing 300 yards a game and a few touchdowns, and it's impressive stuff what he was doing, and I feel like you haven't really seen that a whole lot from him, and he went out there and he played really, really well against, a dynasty in the Kansas City Chiefs that everyone was like, oh yeah, they're gonna go win this game. It's fine. They're gonna win this game. They're gonna win this game. And then the Chargers just stepped on their neck. So I got the Chargers. I like the Raiders, but give them time. I think they need more time. I think starting midseason, maybe Jonty will start getting going, but it's a new roster. It's tough. It's really tough. So Chargers are pretty much built like they were last year, and there's not a whole lot different. So.
Yeah, Chargers definitely for me. Like I was saying, last one, and we'll get out of here. We got the college football, we're definitely not going to do the schedule prediction, but A&M and Notre Dame.
Can't hear you. Your mic's doing the thing again. Your mic's doing the thing again. I can't. I don't know what you're saying.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
I said, let's just end the episode. I'm good. This has gone long anyway.
Okay.
Mike was doing a thing. I could be wrong. I couldn't hear a lot of what you were saying.
What, just now?
No, just like the whole episode. You were like skipping over.
I think that's a Discord thing for you.
Yeah, it happened to me before, and I called it out, and you said it was fine. So I just couldn't hear a lot of what you. So it was hard for me to like. You would say something, and then you'd go away for like 5-10 seconds, and then I'd be like,
Yeah. All right. Well, let's cut back in and then send us out. All right. Welcome back for the second time. Unfortunately, this will be the last time because we are going to send it out. We're having some technical difficulties, getting a lot, and it's getting late. So we'll probably hit college games, obviously, next week. But tune into that Texas A&M game and Notre Dame game. I'm absolutely. I think it's Sunday, or I think it's Saturday night. I want to say it's game day. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it's a big
Saturday.
game.
Saturday night game. We both got the Aggies. Come on,
Yeah, we got the Aggies. I think they're going to shove it down Notre Dame's throat in their stupid run scheme. So I think get loud, get crazy because Notre Dame still sucks, boys.
Just gonna smack A&M now. All right, folks. We'll catch you next week and recap that one.
Later, folks.